Join as we learn Chumash for today, the second Torah reading for Monday, Parshas Shemini, chapter 9, verse 17. Yesterday we learned where Moshe tells Aaron and his sons to approach on the 8th day that they now assume the right to be the Kohen and the Kohen Gadol to work in the Holy Temple. This continues now the sacrifices that Aaron did on the first day of him being the Kohen Gadol. Verse 17. Vayakriv es hamincha, and he brought forward the grain offering. Vayimali chape mimena, and he filled his palms with it. Vayakter al mizbeach, and he brought it onto the altar. Milvad elos habayker. This was besides and after the morning ascent offering. Rashi vayimali chape, and he filled his palms. He kamitzah. This is what we mentioned previously when we do the meal offering, that they had to fill a fistful and put it on the altar. That's exactly what he did. Milvad elos habayker, kol ela asa achar elos hatamid. He did all these sacrifices after the usual ascent offering that was brought every single day. Verse 18. Vayishchat es sheir ha'ayil, and he then slaughtered the ox and the ram. Zevach hashlamim, which were brought as the people's offering. Asher la'am, which were for the people. Vayimtziu b'nei Aaron es hadam, and the children of Aaron presented the blood to him. And he sprinkled it on the altar, encircling the altar. Verse 19. Vesachalovim, and the fats. Min ha'shoyru min ha'ayil, from the ox and from the ram. Ha'alya, and from the tail of the ram. V'amechase, and the one that the fat was covering. V'akloyes v'yiseres ha'kaved, and the kidneys and the diaphragm with a part of the liver. So again, these were the things that the children of Aaron presented to Aaron. V'amechase, what was covering? Chela v'amechase sakerev. It's talking about the fats that covers the innards. Verse 20. V'yesimu et sachalavim ala chazis, and then they placed the fats on top of the breasts. V'yakter hachalavim hamizbecha, and he brought the fats onto the altar and he placed them and he burnt them up on the altar. Rashi, v'yesimu hachalavim ala chazis, and he put the fats on the breasts. This was, as we mentioned previously, when they would wave it, they would have to put the two together. After they waved it, the Kohen who waved it gave it to another Kohen who then burnt it on the altar. Nimtzul, comes out when you're passing it to the other person, it flips it. The one that was on top now goes on the bottom, because the bottom one would go on top. Verse 21. That's a chazes v'shrei kayamim, and the breasts and the right thigh. Heinif Aaron tenufa lifnei Hashem. Aaron waved them as a wave offering before God. Kasher tziva Moshe, like Moshe commanded. Verse 20. Vayisa Aaron es yadav, and Aaron raised his hands. Vayavarchem ela'am, towards the people. And he lifted his hands towards the people. Vayivarchem, and he blessed them. Vayered me'asais achatos va'ulav hashlamim. He then descended the altar after having offered up the sin offering and the ascent offering and the peace offering. Rashi, vayivarchem, what did he bless them? Birchas koyanim, the blessing of the priestly blessings, which is yivarechecha, you should be blessed, or should be shined upon you, Yisa. As we know, the regular, usual, as it's mentioned in the book of Numbers, what the priestly blessings are. Vayedet, he descended. Where did he descend from? From after doing all the sacrifices. Then he descended the altar, me'ala mizbeach, from the altar, going back, and that's why it says he descended, as we know, that the altar was higher up off the ground, at least 10 amos. He had to go down the ramp, so therefore he uses the terminology descending. Verse 23. Vayavei Moshe v'Aaron, and Moshe and Aaron came to the tent of meeting. Vayetzu, when they went out, v'yivaruchu es ha'am, and they blessed the people. Vayerach v'ed Hashem al kol ha'am, and then they were able to see, and the glory of God finally appeared to all the people. Rashi, Vayavei Moshe v'Aaron, lama nichnesu, why did they both have to go into the tent of meeting? Matzasi beparshas Meluyim, I found when it came to the discussion of the installation rites, another addition to the Torah's Kohanim that we mentioned previously, which is called the Mechilta. And he says as follows: why did Moshe go together with Aaron and enter the tent of meeting? Because he had to teach him how to do the incense. Because every single day of the 7 days of the installation, there were many different jobs that were done. However, the regular jobs that were done every single day, for example, the sacrifices and the incense, they were only going to start on the 8th day. So therefore, they haven't not yet been done on the previous 7 days. So Moshe had to show him how it should be done. Or maybe he went in for something else. However, Hareini done yirido bia tu una bracha. I will bring a proof that when he went in for this job was for something that needs a blessing, because when they came down, descended off the altar, and they went in and needed a blessing, because it says when he came off the altar and when he went into the tent of gathering, both of them blessed the people. Just like when he descended the altar was just like part of the service, which was like bringing the sacrifices. Avbia, so too when he went into the tent of meeting, Mein Avodah was also of a reason to do a certain service, which would be the incense on the inner altar. Halamadita. What do we have from here? Lama nichnas Moshe and Aaron. What do I prove from here? That why did Moshe enter the tent of meeting together with Aaron into the tabernacle? Lamde al to teach him how to do the incense. Davar acher, another explanation. Why did he go with him? To pray. Kivan shara Aaron shekarva kol karbanis. What happened was they saw that they brought all the sacrifices, v'nasu kol ha'maisim, and everything that they were told to do, they did. But still, v'adayin lo yardu shechina Yisrael. They still have not yet seen the divine presence come on the tabernacle. Hoyimitztair v'oimer. So they were very upset, and they were saying, Yodeani. Aaron was saying, I know shekos hakadosh baruch hu alai, that God is upset with me because I had to do with the construction of the golden calf. And because of me, and I was the one that did it, and I was involved, and now therefore the Jewish people don't enjoy the God's divine presence. So Moshe said to him, he said to Moshe, so Aaron says to Moshe, Moshe achi, Moshe my brother, kachas, look what you did to me. I went in, I did the work, and I'm embarrassed. Miyad, right away, nichnas Moshe imay. Moshe went with him into the tent of meeting, bikshu rachmim, and they prayed to God. V'yard shechina Yisrael, and then the Jewish people were able to experience and see the divine presence. That's why right afterwards, after they prayed, that the divine presence should come down and the Jewish people should experience and see the glory of God on the tabernacle. They said, as we mentioned previously, that God's blessing should be amongst you. That the divine presence should rest in the work of you've done. Because throughout the 7 days of the installation, that Moshe put up the Mishkan. And he served in the tabernacle, and they used to take it down every single day as well. They did not see the divine presence. And the Jewish people were embarrassed, and they were telling Moshe, Moshe, our teacher, everything that we work so hard to do, that the divine presence shall rest amongst us. V'neidam, we would know that the sin of the golden calf was been atoned for. Hasn't happened because we don't see God's divine glory. Therefore, Moshe tells them, like we saw previously, this is what God said you should do, and the glory of God will be seen. Maybe during my time of doing it, when the 7 days of the installation, you haven't seen it. But Aaron, my brother, he is more important and greater than me. And it's only through his work and his sacrifices, then you will see the divine presence. And you will know that it is God who chose him. This way, when the divine presence came, finally on the 8th day, is when the Jewish people recognized that it was Aaron's service. Aaron was chosen by God to be the high priest in the holy temple. That's why we see, interestingly enough, that this is called the 8th day. Why isn't it called the first day? It's the first day of Aaron working in the holy temple, but it's because Moshe serviced the 7 days, therefore on the 8th day he was able to shine. As well as we see the concept that 8 is beyond number, beyond cycle. While the 7 days is a cycle, 8 is beyond cycle. So too, the 7 days of Moshe was during the cycle of the world, meaning working within the 7 days of the week. However, when Aaron took the place of Moshe, now was acting as the high priest, it brought it to a new level, and that's why 8 is a symbolism of eternity as well, that Aaron and his sons will be the Kohanim for eternity. This concludes the second Torah reading of Parshas Shemini.